This guy, I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. And I can't. I can't put myself in those shoes and think like that, nor would I want to. But if he was looking at leaders from the past, let's he would know that this is not the way to handle this problem. Even if, and this is something that the media tried to do once they found out his name. His name is Micah Xavier Johnson. They started calling him Micah or Mackay, whatever, X Johnson, or just the Micah X. And they do that to connect it to Malcolm X and say, see, he's another one of those violent upstarts like Malcolm X was, and it's another way to try and bring it back to Muslims. But they're playing on people's ignorance there. They're hoping that, the people who are watching these things don't know the true history of Malcolm X and don't know what, at the end of the day, he really fought for. Because at the end of his life, he was going for a different approach. He realized his mistakes and grew because of his pilgrimage to Mecca. But unfortunately, he was gunned down before we actually saw more of what he wanted to do now, thanks to his pilgrimage. He was ousted by the Nation of Islam because of his more open approach to try and deal with the racism in America. And you guys are fucking idiots if you think that's going to work on people who aren't ignorant. The leaders of the past would be disgusted with this individual, especially including Malcolm X. If this man was a Nation of Islam person, whatever, I don't care. The fact of the matter is the fucker is dead now. Now we need to find out what we can do to prevent this from ever happening again, but also what we can do to prevent the shootings of Alton Sterling and Philando Castile from ever happening again. And we just need to radically change not just the criminal justice system in our country, but the culture in our country. Because ultimately, the American culture, the American society craves this kind of fucking violence. And that's why if it bleeds, it leads in the media. Because that's what we want to hear about. When we go to the movie theaters, we want to see those movies that have shit blowing up and people getting in fights. That's what we like to watch. And then we turn around and do it in the streets, in our own homes, to our brothers and sisters, instead of just keeping it on the screen. We have to change our culture. From the bottom up, from the top down, both at the same time it needs to change. Because this is not acceptable. The killing of officers, not acceptable. The killing of people who were doing nothing wrong at the time that they were killed, not acceptable. All these mass shootings, all these incidents of police brutality, they are not acceptable. And until our government does something about it, until we as a people decide to change our culture and stop these things from happening, nothing will change. We can talk about criminal justice reform all day long, but until we talk about our culture, which is so gung-ho when it comes to violence, we gotta have our guns, our Second Amendment right. Until we change all that, nothing is gonna change. And that's it. That's at the heart of the problem. It's our culture. Not just the black culture, not just the white culture, not the brown culture, whatever. The American culture as a whole has a problem, and we have made these things okay, and that is not okay.